We live in an age defined by the verdict, a constant, invisible jury that gathers around every thought, every mistake, every moment of silence. We are perpetually performing for it, for our boss, for our peers, for the endless scroll of curated lives online. We build elaborate narratives about who we are, successful, thoughtful, resilient. But beneath the polished surface of achievement, there is a persistent, gnawing anxiety. A feeling that no matter how much we achieve, how perfectly we curate our image, we are fundamentally exposed to judgment. We feel perpetually judged, and this constant scrutiny leaves us exhausted. We know what we should do with our attention, to focus on the task at hand, to nurture genuine connection, to simply be present, yet we find ourselves constantly distracted, pulled back by the siren call of comparison, or trapped in the loop of anticipating the next critique. We are masters of distraction, and perhaps that is the deepest question. Why do we feel so profoundly lost, even when our lives appear perfectly ordered? Why does the pursuit of external validation leave us feeling more incomplete than ever? This ache for meaning, this desperate need to be understood, has echoed through human history. It finds its echo in a dusty temple courtyard in feudal Japan, where the weight of judgment was not digital, but visceral, a physical crowd demanding spectacle and vengeance. Imagine a gathering place filled with people who have come together under the banner of law and order. At the center stands a man accused, bound, awaiting a verdict. The air is thick with anticipation, fueled by fear and righteous anger. The initial reaction is not curiosity, it is spectacle. People gather to gawk at suffering, drawn into the primal satisfaction of public judgment. They are ready to decide his fate, to kill him, or worse, to make him suffer slowly, publicly. The crowd's collective energy is intoxicating. It feels powerful to participate in a verdict. To point fingers and assign blame is easier than the difficult work of understanding complexity. When justice becomes a performance, when the goal is not accountability but entertainment, we are all complicit. The demands rise. Vengeance must be absolute. Mercy is weakness. When faced with this overwhelming emotional tide, authority figures step in. The captain representing the state, the elder woman embodying personal vendetta, and the monk speaking of natural law. Each voice attempts to impose order, but each fails because they are all rooted in something other than pure reason. The government mandate is merely a tool for power. The revenge motive is fueled by unresolved pain. Even philosophical law becomes just another argument to win. The system breaks down into competing narratives of guilt and deserved punishment. We see how easily people abandon reasoned thought, abandoning due process simply because the emotional need for catharsis, for a satisfying visible reckoning, is too strong to resist. The spectacle of judgment is seductive. It promises closure where there is only complexity. But within this chaos, another figure emerges, Otsu. She has been grappling with her own profound melancholy, realizing that her loneliness was not an absence of people, but the absence of a deep, meaningful connection, a vulnerability she could not afford to express. Watching the spectacle unfold, watching the crowd's collective desire for cruelty, she is forced into a confrontation with her own deepest needs. The scene shifts from the judgment of the accused to the desperate plea of the witness. The setting becomes a storm-swept temple courtyard, a natural mirror to an emotional crisis. Here, all systems fail. Law cannot save him. Vengeance demands his death, and even the spiritual authority of the monk is challenged by human compassion. Otsu's actions are not driven by justice, nor by revenge, nor by self-interest. They are driven by a pure, desperate concern for life itself. She ignores the established rules, she disregards the crowd's demands, and she confronts the cold indifference of the man who represents spiritual law. Her plea is physical, falling to her knees in the mud, hands raised in supplication against the force of the storm. The power of this moment lies in its radical simplicity. It asks for nothing but mercy. It forces a choice between the satisfaction of judgment and the profound difficulty of compassion. The rain, cold and relentless, washes away the noise of accusation, leaving only the raw, undeniable reality of suffering that must be prevented. This ancient confrontation reveals a fundamental truth about human nature. Our deepest ethical instincts are not found in our laws or our social structures. They emerge when those systems collapse under emotional pressure. The moment we feel the urge to judge, to categorize, to condemn, to demand retribution, we are merely participating in a performance of moral superiority. The true measure of humanity is not how loudly we can cry out for justice, but how quietly we can choose compassion when judgment seems inevitable. It requires an active effort. It demands that we look past the visible crime and see the fragile life beneath the accusation. We carry this same invisible jury with us today. We judge our colleagues' career moves based on a single email. We condemn strangers online based on a snippet of text. We measure our worth by the likes, the views, the perfect highlight reel of someone else's existence. We are all participating in a modern spectacle of judgment, mistaking performance for principle. The weight of expectation is heavy. It tells us that if we fail to meet the verdict, the job promotion, the relationship milestone, the social ideal, that our worth diminishes. This constant fear of being exposed, of being found wanting, keeps us perpetually anxious and distracted. But what if the problem isn't a lack of rules or a failure of character, but a misunderstanding of where true power resides? What if the greatest act of strength is not making a definitive judgment, but choosing to suspend it? The lesson from that storm-swept courtyard is this: when you feel the pressure building, the urge to criticize, the need to assign blame, the desire to point out another person's flaw, pause. Do not react with the immediate satisfaction of the crowd. Instead, ask yourself what Otsu did in the rain. She didn't argue law. She appealed to a shared humanity. She saw the life that needed saving, regardless of who was guilty. To choose compassion is not an act of weakness. It is the most difficult and profound form of strength. It requires us to accept that we do not have all the answers, that our knowledge is incomplete, and that the person before us, whether they are a stranger or ourselves, is more complex than any single verdict can capture. The world will always present you with moments of chaos, where the easy path is condemnation. But in those moments when the noise of accusation threatens to drown out your own voice, remember the quiet power of that plea. Remember the cold rain and the desperate need for a life spared. True understanding does not arrive through victory or law. It arrives only when you are willing to see the suffering that lies beneath the spectacle.